when Jesus died. And Mark has him saying, surely this was the Son of God. And Luke has him saying, surely this man was innocent. And you're, oh my gosh, like, oh no. You know, so stop it, it's a ridiculous response. You know? So Mark's framing, the whole story of Mark is about people recognizing or not recognizing Jesus as the Son of God. And so the Roman centurion becomes the first person in the whole story to recognize who Jesus is. So what he says is he's the Son of God. In Luke's version of the trial of Jesus, it's all about how, like 8 different times, everybody's saying, Jesus is innocent. This is an innocent man. Why are we killing an innocent man? I don't. And he ends up getting crucified anyway. And then the climax of it is the guy who just crucified him said, oh no, this guy was innocent. Right? So here's the point. If we want to impose our standard of truthfulness on these texts, then what we're going to say is, well, that centurion said something. And what he said here is different than what he says here. So one of them must be right. Which one is more original, and then which one changed the other? And that's just the wrong question. The authors of these texts aren't trying to give us a video. We have the luxury, or not a luxury, I don't know, of being able to do this to everything now, you know, and replay it. And that's not what these texts are designed to do. These texts are designed to recount to us not just what happened, but the meaning of what happened. And in the way that history writers work in their culture, is one of the tools is to craft repeated key words in shaping their accounts to emphasize the meaning of the event. And so Mark did it this way. Luke did it that way. And I don't think that should bother you at all. The only reason it'll bother you is if you're imposing on the gospel authors a standard of history writing that they clearly didn't hold. And so then it becomes like, well, why do I think that the Bible needs to write history the way I would prefer it to? You know? It does raise a truthfulness question. The truthfulness is, people who are at the crucifixion remember that, like, there's a Roman soldier over there having a really intense moment. Right? That's the memory. That's the memory. And so Mark fits that memory into his account, and Son of God. Luke fits that memory. Are you with me here? So they're not video transcripts. They are telling us about what happened and the meaning of what happened. And so we have to check our expectations at the door. Just like if you fly, to my analogy, if you fly to France, like what we would never do is get off the plane in Paris and like ask where the McDonald's is. You know, and like wear shorts and pull up your tube socks all the way, walk around, you know, like this is bad. I hope you would never do that, you know? Like get a phrase book, learn how people talk here. Learn what people eat around here. Go to those places. But somehow, when we go to the Bible, we just expect it to speak our language and talk the way we would. And that's disrespectful. That's just like bad etiquette, you know? So anyway, I took a longer answer to your question because I think it's really important. I appreciate that you asked it. And it's always in the details. Every matter is different and so on. But thank you for asking. If you're interested, come ask me. I have 3 books to throw at you, 3 book recommendations to throw at you if you want to read further on the topic. Other questions? Maybe I should go to this side of the room to be arbitrarily fair. Hi.
Hi. So my question is kind of my understanding of the way our current Bible stands now is that there are certain passages that most scholars agree aren't in our oldest versions of the document. So like the end of Mark, the
yes.
who committed adultery.
Yep.
So if most scholars don't believe that those are in the oldest documents, what is your thought on that? Do you think they were added later? How do you view that within the concept of being from God?
Do you remember the ending of Jeremiah 36? And many similar words. Right?
Yeah.
So this is not a scandal. So what we have, those are the 2 most prominent examples in the New Testament, where a whole half of the chapter is the beginning of Mark, and a whole story, a famous story, in the Gospel of John, where Jesus writes in the sand, and you hasn't sinned, cast the first stone. Yeah, so what we're talking about is the manuscript evidence seems to point to the fact that these individual little snippets, right, this little piece that Solomon Schechter had on his table, that those entered into the manuscript text of that gospel account at a later phase, because we have manuscript evidence that says, oh, there was a version that did not have any of those, and it seems to So yeah, but that's how these texts were produced. The question is, does that preserve an eyewitness memory that was just floating? We know that eyewitness memories were floating around in huge numbers in those decades before the Gospels were written. And so you just have to take each kind of example as it comes. But again, for every single one of these things, I can show you a stack of books on it. Like, there's no surprise here. There's no scandal of the, it's just like, everybody knows about this, and everybody's trying to sort it out, and if you want to become an expert in this, go right ahead. It's a difficult career field to get a job in, but it's really fun to study, right? So, anyway, yeah, so that's a great example. That stuff totally happens. There's even more fascinating examples, I think, for different books of the Old Testament as well, very similar types of things. But my point is that there's no scandal. It's just a reality of how the Bible came into existence. Yeah. Hi. Yeah.
Okay. I was hoping you could say something about the source of the Bible's authority. Why should I take it? You talked about truthfulness.
Yes.
Why should I take it as authoritative?
Yeah, so the question is why? It's the oddity. Why on earth would you foster a relationship with an ancient text? None of your friends do this. You know what I'm saying? Like, why are you doing this? And why are you accepting this ancient text from the people of ancient Israel and as like a divine authority to guide your life? That's very odd if you ask your friends, right, who don't follow Jesus. So here would be my short answer. If I'm a follower of Jesus, I follow a person, like an actual living, what I believe, on the basis of the eyewitness testimony of the people who saw and experienced the risen Jesus. The reason I follow Jesus is because, by faith, sometimes I have more of it, sometimes I have very little of it, but by faith, I accept that testimony as reasonable and as true. The risen Jesus. And if Jesus is in fact risen from the dead, then that has a million implications for like everything I think about the meaning of the universe. And it makes me go back and read the stories about Jesus, and what do I see Jesus doing? I see him constantly referring to these texts, and referring to them as a divine and human word that tells the story of what God has been doing to save people. It tells the story of, you know what I'm about to say, right? The covenant, how they failed, and how he's here as the one to bring that whole story to its completion. So let me try and say in a sentence, be a good exercise for me. The reason I accept the Bible as a human and divine word, as an authority over my life, is because of Jesus. Not because I think the book fell out of heaven. It manifestly did not. Jesus said that these texts that have this history and tell this story point to him. And that he's fulfilling them and carrying that story forward. And I believe in and follow Jesus. Therefore, I accept these texts as telling my story and defining the meaning of my own life story. And unfortunately, there are many people in the modern West who believe in Jesus because they're told they have to believe in the Bible. And I'm not trying to draw a wedge between these two. Jesus and the Bible are really close, like super close together. I don't know Jesus apart from the Bible, but at the same time, let's get the horse right before the cart. I follow Jesus. I believe he loves me, he gave his life for me, and his resurrection life is the only hope I have, or anybody else. And I believe that these texts tell his story of what he's all about. And therefore, I sometimes uncomfortably accept them as a divine human word with authority and guidance over my life. It's not an easy decision. I struggle with it all the time. And if you're honest, and you're actually trying to follow Jesus, you do too. But does that make sense? That I accept the Bible because of Jesus. There you go. That's my short answer. Thank you. Hi, Trina.
So the book of Revelation has a lot of interpretations to it, and the U.S. is not mentioned in a lot of those interpretations. I've often seen the U.S. drawn as those who dwell carelessly in the aisles. I was wondering what your take was on that.
So yeah, it's about the interpretation. Yeah, Revelation is developing the main plot line of the whole Bible, which is about God gives people a sweet piece of real estate, asks them to trust Him and trust His definition of good and evil. Humans persistently choose to redefine good and evil on their own terms, and as a result, they create Babylon. This is the narrative arc of the first 11 pages of the Bible. And essentially, the rest of the story of the Bible is just retelling that story arc. And Babylon becomes embodied by many other nations in the story. Egypt, Edom, Moab. Eventually, Israel becomes Babylon. And so in the New Testament era, John, the visionary, the other New Testament apostles, are looking out at the Colossus of Rome. It's like the mega empire of their day, not friendly towards followers of Jesus. And so they never call Rome by the name of Rome in the final book of the Bible. They call it Babylon. But it's not just Rome. By the time you get to that part of the Bible, you've adopted its story. And you use it not as a secret prophecy code, right? You use it as a set of glasses that help any follower of Jesus in any nation, under any empire or kingdom, look at their environment and look for ways that the place I'm living has become Babylon. And to self-examine the ways I'm actually contributing to this place becoming more like Babylon. And then I'm called with a choice to flee, to go out of Babylon in the new Exodus and follow the new Joshua and Moses into the Promised Land, which is a path that goes through the wilderness and a lot of desert, and it's really hard. Are you with me? It's learning how to live in the biblical story as a framework for my own life story. And so the Babylon is every human kingdom that doesn't submit itself to the kingdom of God. There you go. That's my short answer. Yeah. Sorry. Am I supposed to stop now? Two more questions. Cool. Great. So maybe we have done the middle. Hi there.
Yes. Just curious, how did the books of the Bible get there? How did we choose the 66 books?
Well, we didn't choose them. An analogy would be something like a big boulder rolling down a hill. These books came into existence through a lot of different text processes. But these texts in particular had such weight behind them. They generated such force on the people of Israel that when these texts were read aloud, when these texts were encountered and experienced in synagogue, right? People just like, whoa. People experience a divine word through these texts. When the Apostle Paul would write a letter to the Jesus community, he talks about how when he wrote to the Thessalonians, he said, you read my letter, and you didn't receive it just as a human word, but as a divine word. That he says he wrote. The human word that speaks a divine word. And so there's something much more of an organic, I call it organic. These are the texts that gain the momentum and put this pressure on God's people through history. And these were the texts that rose to the surface, so to speak. I do think there was human intentionality, like in how the Tanakh is designed. It's exquisite and it's amazing. But at the same time, why would they pick that story? And why would they pick this story? And why would they pick this poem and arrange Jeremiah or something in that way? It's because this poetry is a part of that tradition. And when this poetry and these stories are read, people hear the word of God. So again, this whole thing of like a small room of insecure white males trying to rule the world, like just it's not. This room doesn't exist, and neither do those people. These books came into existence through a much more organic and therefore messy and complex kind of process. But this whole thing about Constantine buying the Bible and paying for it, it's ridiculous. It didn't happen. So yeah, I would say, get a different metaphor. It's not about somebody sat down and, oh, this one, not, oh, I don't like that one. You know, it's not at all how it happened. It was much more a part of his story. Yeah, thank you. It's good. Hi.
As a follow-up to that one, what about the deuterocanonical books?
Yes.
And the synoptic gospels?
Tell me, what do you mean about
those? So the gospel.
Oh God, the apocryphal gospels. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, there's a whole. Well, okay. Now we're back to this. So because we encounter the Bible through this technology, the way we think about it is as a bound, like clearly identifiable boundaries. But the books of the Hebrew Bible, for example, are not the only texts that were produced in the history of ancient Israel. There were other texts that are just as brilliant and incredibly valued and read in communities. And there were different groups that had different estimations of different of those texts. So in the Catholic tradition, for example, has a bigger Bible, a bigger Old Testament. And these are a section of texts that were produced near the end of the formation of the Hebrew Bible, and much of them are looking back on the Hebrew Bible itself and extending and developing it and exploring it more. And there were some Jewish communities that heard and that experienced a divine influence through those texts, and there were others that didn't. And so the three-part shape, Jesus, when he talks about that three-part shape, and this is a whole rabbit hole of debates, but I think we at least need to shut ourselves of this kind of concept. The reason why these books that are in the Catholic Bible seem like a scandal is like, oh, here's the Bible. Why did somebody take those out? Are you with me? It's just the wrong framework altogether. These texts were all circulating and being read and valued, and certain ones of them people had different opinions about. And for every book of those apocryphal books that are in the Deuterocanon, there's a whole rabbit hole of wonderful whole careers dedicated to exploring the wonders of these texts and their history. So there you go. I'm not sidestepping your question. I'm more saying we just have the wrong categories to say, is it in here or is it not in here? But there's a collection of scrolls. They didn't seem to have quite the hang-ups about boundaries as we did. That might spin your brain, but that's okay. That's what I'm here to do. I don't know. But anyway, hi. Yes, hi.
Comments that if we don't define boundaries for the Bible, and
Yes.
how would you determine what would be divinely inspired and what would be, because then any
Yeah.
text would be accessible and called part of.
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, of course, that's a question that comes up. So, again, for my part, I'm a follower of Jesus. That's why I read these ancient texts in the first place. Why would a Scottish Gentile like me, on the other side of the planet, care? I follow Jesus. When Jesus talks about his Bible, the scrolls that where he encountered the scriptures, he talks about this three-part shape of the Bible. And it seems to me that what that three-part shape is corresponds to this wonderful drawing that I showed you down here. And so that's where I'm gonna, history isn't science. You can approach history from a scientific point of view and pretend you're doing science, but we can't repeat history. Like, history is about probabilities. And so it seems to me that the evidence points to this being the shape of Jesus' Bible. But there are these other texts that existed that were highly valued. And it wouldn't surprise me one bit if Jesus really loved to read the wisdom of Ben Sira, or that's one of the books in the Catholic Bible. And I have no problem with that. But there are moments in the history, for example, this whole thing about Constantine paying for the New Testament, like making the Bible and so on. What that whole council, the debate that Constantine was a part of, the Council of Nicaea, was a culmination of debates about the identity of Jesus, about how his humanity related to his deity. And a part of that debate was, what text can we appeal to, right, as an authority in this discussion? And so discussions about the boundaries of the Bible have come up through history, usually when Christians are fighting with each other, right? And so a lot of it depends on the community that you're part of. Like in the Catholic tradition, they have declared that this is part of the divine human word. In the Ethiopian Orthodox and the Greek Orthodox tradition, they also have additional books. And I think there's some problems with that, and I can make some historical arguments about that. I think this was the shape of Jesus' Bible, but I could be wrong about that. And I've just chosen not to die on that hill, My faith in Jesus doesn't live or die based on whether I can know with historical certainty whether the wisdom of Ben Sira is supposed to be in here or not. I think you should read the wisdom of Ben Sira. It's really a beautiful book. And so there you go. It's messy. What I'm telling you is that it's complicated. And I don't think that should bother you. Well, it will bother. It actually bothered me for a long time, right? but I've chosen to get over it, and I've chosen to accept that we live in an extremely complicated universe. And the fact that I wish that things were more simple doesn't mean that they are so. And Jesus is anything but simple. He was clearly a very complex individual who had a marked impact on everybody that encountered him. And that's the Jesus that we encounter in the pages of Scripture. And so the books of the Hebrew Bible point to this complex, remarkable Jesus. The writings of the apostles point back to him. And then there are other texts that have a more ambiguous relationship, and I think you should read them too, because they're amazing. That would be my long, half non-answer. To your question. I'm supposed to stop talking now. Yeah. Thank you guys so much. Thank you guys for the opportunity to come to do this. It's a privilege and honor for me to be